All right, so we are getting into the first unit. Now, you have already read the prompt, I'm sure, and this is probably the most straightforward unit that we have because everyone knows what a resume is. Cover letters, you may be a little bit less familiar with, but I'm sure you have an idea what the cover letter application letter is. But I'm going to take the time to get into a little bit more depth with what all we're doing, how we're going to do it, and kind of key points, tips, and takeaways for this. So let's start with the kind of overview of assignment one. So you're going to create 3 documents for this packet: one cover letter, one resume, and a 300-word resume cover letter analysis or reflection. So please keep in mind each document needs to be on its own page of the packet and needs to be on one single PDF and include page numbers, a cover page, and a table of contents. So you will not only be graded on those kind of 3 main products or documents, but also on the document design. So be sure that it's all put into one PDF instead of separate Word docs or PDFs, that there are page numbers, and that you have a cover page and a table of contents. So step 1 of this assignment is you need to find a job call. So an actual job call or internship that you would be interested in. I want you to be able to actually use these. So I want you to pick a job call or internship that you would be interested in or you might actually want to apply to. And we can use this class to tweak your resume and cover letter to be really impressive for that specific job call. So that's your first one, is to find the job call. You can do this by going to a number of places. You can go to Indeed, Career Builder, Monster, After College, College Recruiter, College Grad, or Monster College. These are all great places to find those. I'm sure many of you are all already familiar with some of these, but I provided the links and you can download this PowerPoint so you'll have access to all those links if you need those for any reason, for either this assignment or just in the future as you're actually going out onto the market. So these are all the places that you'll look. And as you are looking, let's kind of look at some of these points for as you're kind of engaging in this job search. Now, you should use these points not just to do this assignment, but again, anytime that you're going out on the market to find a job. So here are some things to think about. What specialty within your chosen career appeals to you most? Nurses, for instance, might work at a large teaching hospital, for a hospice agency, or in a physician's office. You need to think about not just your field at large, but the kind of specific nuance of what you want to do, where you want to work, what capacity you want to do that in, because it could be very different. And, the atmosphere is different, the environment is different, the pace is different, and how you'll sell yourself will be different based on how you kind of get into more depth and specificity with what you want to do within your field. What type of working conditions most appeal to you? Do you like to work in small groups? Are you willing to travel? Would you like to go to a place that telecommutes so you're not going into an office every day? Are you willing to live overseas? Do you need to stay near family for some reason? These are all things to look for whenever you're looking for a job. Now, if we go back and look at all of these sites to find jobs, we'll realize we're going to have a vast array of positions available that are going to have different working conditions. These are things you need to take into account because if you aren't willing to travel, then you might as well not apply to a job that requires it. If you do want to travel, then you might not work for a smaller firm where you won't be doing it as much. So think of these things as you're kind of narrowing down your job search so you get a job that you really, really want. And then which specific companies or organizations have the best track record for promoting individuals in your field? Which are doing the most innovative work. So as you're looking for your future career, the next company you're going to work for, do some research to figure this out. Look at people's LinkedIns that work there. Look at the company webpage. Look for reviews of the place. Find out what kind of work they do, how often they promote, how good the company is. Do your research, because if you do get hired, this is going to be your life. So figure out what the company's about before you do that. And make a list right now. Stop after this lecture and kind of list out all the things you want, all the things you're looking for. And do this every time you do a job search, so you know that you are getting into a job that your quality of life is going to be good. That's really important. All right, so social networking. So Twitter is not just a place that we get to air our political grievances. It's also a place that we can look for jobs. So use it, right? Twitter actually has a strong job search engine. You just need to do, whatever your career is needed to look for it. So use it. Use Twitter to find out different places that you might be able to go. LinkedIn is obviously another one. It's specifically made for career building and networking. And then what's important to think about social networking, if you are using that, keep your information up to date anywhere you go. And also, of course, I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, but be aware that you are creating a social image of yourself in these places. So if you are using certain social media sites to look for jobs, or knowing that your future employers will be looking there, be cognizant of that. Paint a good picture of yourself. So once you find that job ad that you know you want to do, there are some steps you need to do next. So determine the possibility of you getting the job. That's important, right? Look at the criteria. There are some times when they prefer certain elements that you might not have, but that's okay, right? Do you have other strengths that you can play up? This is important, though. You don't want to waste their time, and you don't want to waste yours if it's just completely not feasible to think that you would be able to get the job, right? When you're coming out of college, we don't apply for senior positions. Determine what the problem this company is trying to solve by hiring. When you determine what problem they're trying to solve, read what the requirements are, read what they want. You need to craft your application materials to respond to that problem. The more that you think behind what is there, the more impressive you're going to be, and the more you're going to stand out amongst the hundreds of other applicants. Catalog the hard skills required. What are the hard skills that they need? What kind of software do you need to know? Then catalog soft skills. What are the requirements beyond those more obvious ones, right? Is it communication? Is it group work? What are the kind of soft skills that are required that you can kind of weave in to both your resume and especially your cover letter? Look for buzzwords, keywords, or search terms that they're using, and think about how you can respond to those or demonstrate that you are aware of those, and to show your knowledge in the field. Research the company, like I said. Look at recent projects. Look at the company kind of ethos. Look at the way that they talk about, family. Are they family oriented? Are they more scientific? Are they a close-knit community? What kind of environment does this place have? Because that should dictate the kind of tone that you take when you are writing your letters, and even the kind of information that you include on your resume. Begin a list of how your prior experience might be spun towards the required skills and buzzwords. So when we're coming out of college, we're going to read a quick reading about getting hired, as a graduate. When you're coming out of college, you don't have a ton of experience. If you're lucky, you have an internship or two under your belt. Sometimes you are working another job, so you couldn't do free work for people. So you really have to think about how you spin the work that you've done to kind of meet the required skills or the buzzwords. So think about like cool projects that you've done that you can talk about how you've kind of like demonstrated those skills. Think about how maybe a job that you had that's not directly connected to it, not in the field yet, but like you can demonstrate some required skills that they need. And then finally, locate the name and title of the person you're applying to. Whenever you're writing cover letters, do all you can to avoid "to whom it may concern." Personalize it. Talk to the person who's reading it. That's going to connect with them. It's going to grab their attention. It's also going to show you did your due diligence. So do all you can to find the name of the person who is the hiring manager, the person that's going to be reading, so you can use that and personalize the letter a little bit more. All right, so this is how we analyze a job call. These are the things I want you to think about as you're kind of going in your brainstorming stages and thinking about how you're going to respond to these job calls. And step 2 is to get to writing. Let's start crafting your resume and cover letter and use all those tips that I just gave you to make sure that it is not just a generic cover letter or resume, but it is crafted specifically for the job call that you are responding to.